Everyone loves a good David versus Goliath story. Only you just never expect to see it take the form of a gigantic video game company suing a small local supermarket. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then brace yourself for this. Nintendo actually lost a lawsuit. Way too often we see usually video game streamers run afoul of the Nintendo ninjas, and what happens? They get dragged to court, made an example of, and then they owe Nintendo tons of money for the rest of their life. But this time, somebody actually knew how to fight back against Nintendo's weaponization of their trademarks. So what happened with the lawsuit? Well, turns out there's a supermarket in Costa Rica that's simply known as Super Mario. The super is just short for supermarket, which I think is commonplace there, and Mario comes from the name of the store's owner, Don Jose Mario Alfaro Gonzalez. Apparently this supermarket has operated under the Super Mario name for several decades, but it wasn't until 2013 that the owner's son decided to register Super Mario as a trademark for the store. The problem is, once it was time to renew the trademark, that's when Nintendo discovered them. And of course, they claimed that the store's use of the Super Mario name was a violation of several of their trademarks. But Nintendo made a slight miscalculation when they decided to file this lawsuit. They don't own the trademark for Super Mario when it comes to supermarkets. Usually when these big companies have a name or brand that they want to copyright or trademark, they do a whole bunch of different filings to try to cover as many of their bases as they possibly can. Sometimes it's to prepare for possible future endeavors, and sometimes it's strictly to keep anyone else from being able to use that name or brand. And normally you would expect that Nintendo would have long since bought all the rights to anything and everything related to the Super Mario name, but they didn't. Not only that, but Nintendo couldn't even argue that the store was profiting off of their image because there was no Nintendo or Mario imagery found in the store. It was just a local supermarket named after the guy who owns it. But Nintendo thought they could throw their money around again and either win the lawsuit or at least get the guy to settle out of court and change the name of his store. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I love the creative side of Nintendo. I love the video games that they make and publish for us, but I cannot stand the corporate side of that company. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they filed this suit knowing they would not win if it actually went to court, but they just did it anyway because what's this small little local place gonna do when this gigantic entertainment company comes knocking at the door and says, "Hey, we own that actually"? That's gotta be a scary situation to find yourself in because unlike the controversy over emulation where there's a legal gray area on how you get your ROMs and Nintendo's whole argument that emulation is piracy, in this case with this store, there is no legal gray area. They're just selling goods to people. But does Nintendo care? No! They were counting on this store to fold quickly, much like some of the emulators they've taken down in the last few months. But luckily for old Mario from Costa Rica, he knew he was in the right to name his store that, and thankfully he won out in the end. How do you guys feel about this? Are you happy to see somebody finally put Nintendo in their place? Do you think this company is going to actually learn anything from this experience? Oh, come on, I can answer that for you. Of course they're not. Thanks for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, I'm going to go see what other Super Mario trademarks are available, because I think the world could really use a Super Mario retirement home.